Unsung Murder Ballads discusses topics of a graphic nature and in graphic detail and may not be suitable for children under the age of 13. Listener discretion is advised. Hey everybody, welcome back to day 4 of our 7 Deadly Sins Halloween countdown. I am Janus Dead, and that's obviously Joyous Dead.
Hello.
making ghost noises.
Ooh, so spooky.
Oh man, it would have been better if we had like thumping and chains, because tonight is about wrath.
Ooh.
That would have been better, like angry ghost noises.
Sorry, let me get my props ready. I didn't realize I needed to do this today.
That would have been funny if we were doing. I don't know if it would be funny or cheesy. You know, would it be hokey to
they
do?
go hand in hand. I personally love cheesy shit. So
I like
that.
some cheesy. It's there's a line though, you know, and
That's fair.
I haven't figured out where it is. So since we're talking about wrath, let's get into this.
All right.
So Adrienne Reynolds was born to a single mother in El Dorado, Arkansas on September 12th, 1988. She was adopted by her stepfather, Tony Reynolds. By the time Adrienne was a teenager, her father had remarried and moved to East Moline, Illinois. Adrienne was living with her mother in Kilgore, Texas. She was struggling with school, so much so that at the age of 16, she had not earned a single credit for high school.
Oh man, having a really hard time.
Yeah, that's a struggle right there.
That's tough. Not even gym?
No, she hadn't earned a single credit by the time she was
tough.
16. But Adrienne enjoyed hanging out with her friends, smoking that devil's lettuce, you know.
Oh,
And
not the devil's lettuce.
The devil's lettuce. And absolutely hated school. So at that point, she just doesn't give a fuck. She's not trying to get a credit.
Very fair.
Her mother grew concerned and felt that the only way she could help Adrienne was to send her to Illinois to live with her father. Now, although Adrienne was no saint and could be a handful at times, her father and stepmother loved having her living with them, and they described her as spunky and full of life. And spunky is such an 80s term because you wouldn't use
also
that
saying
anymore.
Full of life, way to announce that she's going to get killed.
Yeah, well, yeah, she's either the killer or the victim, right?
Yeah, now we know.
Adrienne loved to sing, and she was reportedly quite talented. In the fall of 2005, Adrienne started school at the Black Hawk College Outreach Program with the goal of obtaining her GED. Ultimately, Adrienne wanted to join the Marine Corps, which is weird that we've talked about a lot of Marine Corps cases lately.
Been a lot of them, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like the 3rd or 4th in the last couple of months. It's kind of weird. Getting her GED would be the first logical step of being accepted into the military, because believe it or not, they're not big on accepting people who don't have diplomas. So
that's a little surprising.
It is, and it's. I mean, that may have changed.
There's a pattern of being predatory towards people who are having a hard time.
That's true, but I don't know. Like, I just know that they tried to raise the standards, but I don't know what it's like now that they're having trouble recruiting people in the military. Maybe they've lowered that standard again.
Yeah, maybe.
But either way, Adrienne was trying to get her life back on track. It was at this outreach program that she met Sarah Kolb, a popular girl, and Harli, who followed Sarah around like a puppy dog. Harli was absolutely in love with Sarah. It does need to be noted here that since the events that I'm discussing, Harli, who is transgender, has since transitioned to a woman, but at the time identified as a male. So Sarah Kolb was born on April 23rd, 1988, and lived with parents in Milan, Illinois. Sarah was pretty and popular, but she was not the cheerleader type. Sarah was a juggalo.
Oh, gotcha.
And for those who don't know, a juggalo is a term used for the fans of the musical group the Insane Clown Posse, or ICP. Juggalos will often wear face paint that's essentially like gothic clown makeup. Right?
It's very interesting.
Yeah. And Sarah and Harli were both super fans of ICP and identified as being juggalos. Now, I do have to say that as a teen, I was a member of the Kiss Army, and my friends and I used any excuse to paint our faces up like Kiss, so I kind of get this.
Right. I mean, when you're a teen, especially like I do know about this community a little bit of like the big super fans of Insane Clown Posse. It's like a very close knit group. And it's definitely like there's a lot of community there. So it's like, yeah, of course these kids are into it. It's fun to paint your face and be super into shit.
That's cool. I didn't actually know that it was a close knit community
Oh
because
yeah, it's like a whole thing.
the Kiss Army, even though like if I see someone else in a Kiss t-shirt or whatever, we can have a conversation. What I've learned over the years, over the decades, is that most Kiss fans just like to spout off the same Kiss garbage they've always been saying. You know, like they love to spit out the
Oh,
facts.
you like Kiss? Name 5 albums.
Yeah, or yeah, oh, there was that time that Kiss opened for this band, and exactly a year later they were opening for Kiss. They love to spit out those same facts as if
Oh, it's like this the little fun facts from Wikipedia.
exactly like they're reading something off a Snapple cap, right?
Yes.
And so what I found, for example, with the deadcore is probably more like the Juggalos in that we love a band, but it became a community that's much better than any rock band fan club I've ever been a part of. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm assuming this is like. And
Yeah,
with it,
it's huge, and it's like a very popular. Like there's a lot of people who are into it.
right, and I mean, almost everyone I know knows at least the name, the Insane Clown Posse. So
Yeah, or some of their fabulous music. You should hear. There's one has a fucking great line. I think it's called like Miracles, and there's
okay,
one line from it that I just think is the funniest thing of all time. He just goes, "Fucking magnets. How do they work?"
that's ridiculous.
But it's just like so silly. It like, makes me so happy. It's so ridiculous. I will send you that song later. Oh
All right, I'm down. I'll listen.
man.
So Sarah had black streaks in her hair, a punky goth style, and multiple face piercings, and a hard attitude. She had also struggled in school and eventually ended up at the Outreach Center along with Harli and Adrienne. Now, Harli was born on November 2nd, 1987. She was described by most people as shy and soft spoken. Harli, also being a juggalo, fell in love with Sarah when she met her. She felt that
Are we talking?
Sarah.
Are we talking? Sorry, are we talking gay love here? Or are we saying we're girly best friends, or we're
No,
gay?
we're talking at this point, Harli was identifying as a male, and
Oh, right.
Harli
Well,
was
not
very much in love with Sarah.
right. So we have Harli. Sorry, refresh. We have Harli, Sarah,
Adrienne. So
and Adrienne.
Adrienne's the one who moved from Texas to Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah and Harli are the ones that are already there, and they meet at this, outreach center.
Okay, all right, I'm with you.
Okay, good. No, I realized that and that's why I meant like, because a lot of when I listen to other podcasts with this, they refer to Harli as her dead name and as a male, and it kind of makes the story easier to understand what's going on.
Right, but it's
But
just not
but
appropriate.
yeah, and we have respect for that community, so therefore she's Harli. That's just how it goes.
Absolutely.
So Harli felt that Sarah was the only person she could truly be herself with. The two were initially romantically involved, but Sarah ended that portion of their relationship. And at that point, by the time they had met Adrienne, Sarah had had a new boyfriend. But despite this, she and Harli continued to be best friends while Harli harbored her undying love for Sarah. The two would often skip classes and listen to music and smoke weed together. That devil's lettuce.
Devil's lettuce and lesbianism.
Right? There's nothing better.
Mm,
So they were
that's
they were inseparable.
mm-hmm.
So Sarah was also described by many as a jealous person who always had to be the center of attention. And I think we all know people like that.
Don't we?
I myself may have fallen into that category at one point in time. Not the jealous part, but the center of attention part. So
Yeah, I feel that. Me too. That's why
yeah,
we have a podcast.
right? That's true.
We
Right?
need more people to listen to what we have to say.
We want you all to love us.
Yes.
So despite knowing Harli was in love with her, Sarah continued their close relationship while she openly dated other people. When Harli met the new girl at school, Adrienne, she became friends with her. And then Harli introduced her to Sarah, and the two of them became instant friends. In fact, Sarah actually started paying more attention to Adrienne than Harli, prompting a little bit of jealousy on Harli's part. Sarah did not care, though, that Harli was jealous and pursued Adrienne romantically.
Dang.
The two wrote letters back and forth, and where they discussed Sarah's bisexual status and Adrienne's bi-curiosities. Now, despite having at least some romantic involvement, Sarah and Adrienne did not ever become an actual couple. So, in fact, as I said, Sarah still had the boyfriend. And of course, she's leading Harli along because she's madly in love with her. And a girl like that will never let someone like that go.
Right. She's probably getting a lot out of that relationship.
Probably, yeah, Harli's probably paying for everything. Let's be
Oh
honest.
yeah, probably paying for everything, probably giving her rides places. Yeah.
She's probably Sarah's gopher. Like, there's no
Yeah.
doubt there.
100%.
However, Sarah wanted everyone to be infatuated with her and only her. So she
Mm.
didn't like anything else going on. So she was soon getting angry and jealous when Adrienne would start dating a boy. And
How dare she?
and yeah, she would even get annoyed when she commented that she thought a boy was cute.
Wow.
Yep. And at some point, Adrienne went so far as to ask Harli out on a date.
Whoa. To
Yeah.
try and make Adrienne jealous or something?
No, Adrienne asked Harli, but we don't know if it was to make Sarah jealous or if like they had a genuine connection. Like that's not any ever really clear. It was just kind of
Whoa.
the final nail in the coffin, so
Uh-oh.
to speak. Yeah. In December of 2004, Sarah and Adrienne had a full-blown argument. Sarah was fiercely protective of Harli and was not about to share her with Adrienne. She was already upset with Adrienne for dating boys, but asking Harli out was the last straw.
Oh no.
After this argument, Sarah decided that she officially hated Adrienne.
Oh my God.
She would call Adrienne a slut and make threats against her.
What the fuck?
Yeah, this girl instantly out of control. Adrienne desperately wanted to renew the friendship with Sarah and Harli, trying repeatedly to talk to Sarah and make things right. Sarah was so pissed, though, that she set out to start making Adrienne's life as miserable as she could.
Jesus.
On January 21st, 2005, it appeared that Sarah had finally calmed down. She and Harli, whose friendship did not seem to change during any of these arguments, had invited Adrienne to join them and Sarah's boyfriend for lunch at the local Taco Bell. Adrienne was excited to make things right with her friends. That next day, however, Adrienne would be reported missing by her father.
Oh no.
Witnesses told police that they had seen Adrienne with Sarah, Sarah's boyfriend, and Harli. Some even reported that they saw them fighting at the Taco Bell parking lot on the afternoon of January 21st.
Oh no.
Police started talking to Harli, Sarah, and Sarah's boyfriend. No, I'm not using Sarah's boyfriend's name because he's not actively involved in the crime, so he deserves some privacy.
Okay.
He did tell authorities that Sarah and Harli and himself had picked up Adrienne and they went to the Taco Bell parking lot. He said that Sarah got really angry at Adrienne over a comment she made about some boy. The two started hitting each other and ended up fighting in the backseat of the car. He
Oh
claimed
no.
he claimed he left when the fight started, not wanting to be involved in anything. Now, Harli told a different story. The group had picked Adrienne up with the intention of Adrienne and Sarah trying to work out their differences. Harli said that they did argue a little bit, but then they made up over lunch. And after lunch, Harli said they dropped Adrienne off at a McDonald's at her request.
Huh.
And that was the last time they had seen her. Sarah told yet another story. You'd think they'd get this straight, right?
Everyone's an idiot.
Exactly. Sarah claimed that she and Adrienne did, in fact, get into a fight, and she even admitted that she threw the first punch. She said that Adrienne hit her back, but said the argument ended there. Now, on January 24th, 3 days after Adrienne disappeared, Harli and her parents went to the police station for questioning. Harli broke under pressure and told police about the fate of her former friend. Harli said they just started swinging at each other, and then Adrienne hit Sarah in the nose. Sarah's nose started bleeding. So Sarah grabbed a wooden stick she keeps in her car for protection and started hitting her a couple times with it, and they kept fighting and wrestling, and the whole fight moved into the back seat. Harli went on to
How do you
explain.
start fighting outside a car and go in the back seat?
No, I think one of them was sitting in the front seat and one of them was
Oh
sitting in the
yeah,
back.
gotcha.
Yeah. So Harli went on to explain that Sarah was on top of Adrienne and choking her when Adrienne fell unconscious. Harli said that she and Sarah got out of the car and smoked a cigarette on the hood, just chilling. after Adrienne fell into unconsciousness.
Yikes.
This was all going on during the middle of the lunch rush at Taco Bell in broad daylight.
Jesus.
There were several witnesses who saw the girls fighting, but were not close enough to know exactly what was happening. They just figured it was two teenagers having a fight, which, let's be honest, that happens often enough.
It happens, but usually people come and stare. I don't know.
Right? Well, it is cold, and the windows were probably fogged up from their breath.
That's true.
If the car wasn't running. So when Harli and Sarah got back in the car, Harli stated that they realized that Adrienne was dead.
Ooh.
Harli went on to explain that she and Sarah put Adrienne into the trunk of the car. They then headed to Sarah's grandparents' farm outside of East Moline. Upon arrival, Harli said, quote, "We poured gasoline on her and lit her on fire. I poured gasoline on the tarp. I used a lighter and lit it, and then Sarah and we just stood away, and Sarah laid her head on my shoulder," unquote. These two literally sat there cuddling while Adrienne's body was burning.
That's fucked.
It's really fucked. I don't care how mad you are. What the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck?
So Harli went on to explain that she and Sarah believed the body would burn completely, but when it wasn't burning fast enough, Sarah got worried. Harli said, quote, "Sarah decides we need to get the body off the land and said, we got to cut the body up," unquote.
Oh.
Sarah asked Harli to dismember the body, but according to Harli, she couldn't bring herself to do that. Harli said that they decided to call another teenager, a boy named Nathan Gaudette. Nathan was apparently into blood and gore and frequently killed animals, apparently.
Ew.
So the funny part is, I see myself as a teenager being this person that somebody would call.
Right.
Because I was dark and I talked about shit like this all the time. However, I would not have gone along with it.
Right.
For the record.
For the record.
The next day, Nathan Gaudette joined them on the farm, where he proceeded to cut up Adrienne's body with a saw that he took from his grandfather. After her confession, Harli led police to Adrienne's body.
I'm glad she did the right thing.
Yeah. Adrienne's head and arms were wrapped in a plastic bag and placed under a manhole cover in Black Hawk State Park in Rock Island.
Hmm.
Her torso and legs were found in the woods beside Sarah's grandparents' farm.
Hmm.
The cause of death was not able to be determined conclusively, but the medical examiner stated that the evidence was compatible with strangulation. Obviously, I'm guessing she held that stick down across her throat or something.
Yeah.
After Adrienne's remains were recovered, 16-year-old Sarah Kolb and 17-year-old Harli were arrested and charged with first-degree murder and concealment of a homicide. 16-year-old Nathan Gaudette was arrested and charged with concealing a homicidal death. Harli and Sarah both pled not guilty.
What?
Yeah.
How on earth? With what? On the advice of what fucking lawyer?
Right. And after the confession, what?
What? Like literally, you confessed. Like what?
So Nathan Gaudette, he pled guilty to concealment of a homicide and was sentenced to 5 years in juvenile detention.
Huh.
Nice little slap on the wrist for cutting up somebody's body.
Yeah, that's weird vibes.
5 years. Wow. So he's 16. He's getting out when he's old enough to drink. That's yeah, crazy. Sarah Kolb went on trial in Rock Island County in October of 2005. Sarah claimed throughout the trial that she was present when Adrienne died, but claimed that Harli was the aggressor. She said Harli got angry and attacked Adrienne, strangling her with a belt. She said that she was just scared and helped her cover it up out of fear that she would kill her too.
Oh, bullshit.
Now Harli,
this girl just doesn't think any consequences will ever come to her.
Exactly. She's above all that, obviously.
Delulu.
So Harli testified that Sarah was the one who strangled Adrienne with a belt, but admitted to holding Adrienne down for Sarah. The The prosecution put several witnesses on the stand who described Sarah having made nasty comments about Adrienne in the weeks leading up to the murder.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah allegedly told several people that she wanted to kill Adrienne, but no one took her threats seriously.
Yikes.
Sarah's journal was also presented, in which she had written just hours before the murder that she wanted to kill Adrienne.
Yikes, dude. No.
So when the jury went on to deliberate, most people expected a swift verdict. However,
Oh
after
my
what's
God.
after what seemed like an eternity, with 2 weeks in fact, the jury announced that they were unable to reach a verdict.
What?
Yeah, 11 jurors thought Sarah Kolb was guilty, but one did not. And the trial was ruled a mistrial. Yeah.
Wow. That's fucking crazy.
Who the hell is that one juror? And where were they? Did they fall asleep?
I know, right? Maybe they like were like, oh, if you can't prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that like Sarah did it and
Maybe.
Harli didn't.
But ugh. So Harli then went on trial, but Harli pled guilty this time to all charges.
Yeah.
On July 10th, 2006, she was sentenced to 40 years in prison for murder and 5 years for concealment of a homicide.
Wow.
Yeah, they weren't fucking around. And it's funny because Harli was the one who confessed. If she hadn't confessed, who knows what might have happened?
Right. So what about Sarah?
Well, we're going to get to that.
Okay.
Harli was sent to Medard Prison in Chester, but was later transferred to Statesville Correctional Center. Sarah Kolb went back on trial in February of 2006 in Dixon, Illinois. This time, the jury voted unanimously to convict her on all charges. She was sentenced to 48 years for murder and 5 years for concealment to run consecutively for a total of 53 years.
Wow. So that's probably the rest of her life.
Yeah, she was 16 or 17. So yeah, she would be well into her 60s, if not 70s. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you go into jail when you're 16 and you come out when you're 70, you didn't have a life.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to adapt at all.
No.
She was sent to Logan Correctional Center to serve her sentence. Now, while in prison, and this is an interesting little fact, little tidbit, Sarah's appearance has changed because I looked up images of everybody because I like to have things ready for Facebook and Instagram. Her appearance changed, and she actually appears much more masculine now than she did when she committed the crime. Some of those photos even shows what appears to be facial hair. However, unlike Harli, there were no reports that I could find that state that Sarah was undergoing any kind of transitions.
Interesting.
Yeah, but like when you look at the pictures, I'm like, I swear to God, that's facial hair. And
Right. I mean,
so,
women do sometimes just grow facial hair.
yeah, but this looks very distinct. Like, you know
Oh,
what I mean?
wow.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm gonna post photos and stuff, but and if you want to look it up by all means, but yeah, like it's very interesting that there's nothing out there that she's transitioning because it looks like she should be.
Interesting. She might have PCOS, which is a condition that can give you full facial hair.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, well, the more you know. It
Right?
doesn't always. PCOS is a condition that can have a lot of different symptoms, but one of them can be like pretty significant facial hair.
Okay. And Harli, obviously, her appearance has changed since she was put into prison initially. And she actually is now known as Harli Quinn and uses the she, her pronouns. Choosing the name
Changed her name
Harli.
to Harli Quinn when you were accessory to murder?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like that part bothers the shit out of me because
Yeah.
yeah, I love Harli Quinn as a character. And to use that name, oh God, that pisses me off to the point where I almost didn't want to honor the transition. You know what I mean? Because
I get you but we gotta.
I know, but still, of all names, Harli Quinn. Ugh.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's kind of fucked up and makes me have less sympathy for her. Like to make I don't know, but she also like never got to become an adult because she just went to prison.
Yeah.
So
Although I would think
it kind of makes sense as a prison name.
well, I would think that you would become an adult faster in prison. You know what I
Probably,
mean?
but not correctly.
That's 100% true. Yes.
You become a sort of adult, but not a mature adult.
Yes, that's very true. And certainly not a responsible adult.
Certainly not.
So both of these convicted killers were given some hope of reduced sentences following a 2011 Supreme Court ruling that said mandatory life sentences for juvenile offenders was unconstitutional.
Interesting.
So while these two did get life in prison, or did not get life in prison, their sentences were considered the equivalent of a life sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they both filed petitions for new sentencing hearings. In the meantime, Nathan Gaudette was released from custody in 2008 at the age of 20.
Oh, wow. Early.
Yeah, he only served 4 years for his role in butchering Adrienne. I mean,
Yikes.
it's crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts.
However, in 2016, Gaudette was killed in an automobile accident in southern Indiana.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
In 2020, a judge turned down Sarah's petition for a new sentencing hearing. Her only chance of reducing her sentence at that point was clemency from the governor, which she has petitioned for and will probably not get.
Yeah, it wouldn't really be a good look.
No, not at all. And recently they released one of the Manson family killers. I don't know if you heard that.
No.
That was a ballsy move. I'm surprised that happened.
Where were they imprisoned?
In California.
Interesting.
Granted, this person was probably in their late teens or early 20s when they were part of the crime, and they've been in there since the 60s. So, they're no threat whatsoever, but it's still a ballsy move.
It like politically.
Yeah, that's crazy. Everybody knows that this happened.
Yeah,
so
that's wild.
I would kind of wish I lived in California and could have been there for that.
Yeah.
So Harli Quinn, however, was granted a new sentencing hearing.
I guess she wasn't like the primary murderer.
Yeah, I think that's probably why. Adrienne's father and stepmother were both devastated by this ruling and gave impact statements to remind the court of what Harli and Sarah took from Adrienne. They reminded the court that Adrienne didn't get a second chance. She was executed. She was executed by Sarah and Harli at 16. In 2022, Harli was resentenced to her original sentence of 40 years for murder. Harli, now 34 years old, said, quote, "I was a child, and all I'm asking the court to do is recognize the child that I was." She then said to Adrienne's family, "If I could give my life, I would. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't make a difference. I know you'll never forgive me, and I'd never ask because I don't deserve it." Despite her pleas, Harli will remain in prison, currently housed in a male facility.
That's tough.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that must be like.
It's really awful. It is a big issue.
So for some of our listeners who don't know that I do this, I do sometimes write letters to some of the people we're going to be discussing cases on. I write them months in advance in the hopes that they could get back to us before we present these cases. And I did write to both Sarah and Harli. And I even made a point of noting at the bottom of the letter to Harli that I was surprised and disappointed with the state that they're in, that she was still in a male facility. But I have not heard back from either of them. So, who knows what she really thinks about it. But she's also been there for so long now that maybe she doesn't really care. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the sad thing is she'd probably be harassed in a women's prison too. So,
yeah, that's true. But yeah, who knows? My first thought was maybe she would be able to better defend herself there. But I don't know. To the relief of Adrienne's family, her killers will remain behind bars until they are almost 60 years old, which we kind of just discussed. I don't know that they should be let out. They weren't. It's not like they were 13 when they did this, where maybe they didn't get it.
16 is close enough to an adult.
But at the same time, yeah, I'm torn on that one,
And it's funny because like we obviously talk about convictions every time. This is one of the longer sentences, like other than life sentences.
Right. There are times
we've seen others that are like 20 years for a
or
murder.
15 years. Yeah. Or they plea down. Yeah.
And like things that like for murders that like almost like seem more intentional, like sometimes like a strangulation, it's like you can strangle someone and they just pass out, or you
Right.
can strangle someone and they die. But like a gunshot wound, like obviously they're gonna die.
Right. It's crazy. And I don't necessarily think they meant to kill her.
Yeah, like maybe they were just trying to beat her up and teach her a lesson, I guess.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, no, obviously the only two people who were present that know what happened, they've made their arguments and they're obviously not going to tell anyone the truth because they're
Yeah,
open for
absolutely.
clemency. But yeah, it's just so fucked up. And it's sad because I had anger issues as a kid. And I did some very impulsive, stupid things. And I guess I'm lucky I never accidentally killed somebody. But
Hmm.
it's one of those things like in this case, because we're talking about wrath, if Sarah had just been able to contain some of that or control some of it, they wouldn't be where they are now.
No, not at all.
And Adrienne certainly didn't deserve to die.
No. Oh
And
my
she,
God, like she didn't do anything wrong.
yeah, she didn't even deserve the argument and the punch in the face.
No, she didn't.
So, and she wasn't doing anything that Sarah herself wasn't doing.
Literally.
And poor Harli, the puppy dog just following along, like that to me, like would she have killed anybody if she hadn't been there with Sarah?
No, like never.
Never. Probably never. I actually don't believe that Harli knew or expected Adrian to die.
No. Yeah, I agree.
That's
It doesn't
nuts.
sound like it.
Yeah, so
And
that's the
it's surprising to me that they got almost the same sentence.
yeah, well, yeah, I agree with you. But I think at that point I think maybe the community wanted to hold them accountable.
That's fair.
They were probably like, we're going to make an example and here you go. Maybe I don't know. It was the early 2000s when all this happened, the early to mid or 2005 to 2007, somewhere in that ballpark. I mean, who knows? Maybe they really were trying to make examples. None of it makes sense other than
It's
I,
hard to know.
I don't know, maybe 40 years was too long. So yeah, so that's the case of Wrath on our Seven Deadly Sins countdown to Halloween. Thank you guys for joining us again. We'll see you tomorrow, which is going to be awesome, as I think Jameson is going to be with us again doing Greed. So that'll be cool. And
Ooh, that'll be
yeah,
a very interesting case, I'm sure.
yes. And your next one's coming up, which is Vanity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. And then we finally wrap it up on Halloween, which is going to be epic because I have a case for that one it blows my mind. Even now, I know what happened and it still blows my mind. So
Oh, I'm excited for that.
yeah, it's gonna be gross. I'm not gonna lie. It's a
All
rough one.
right.
So
I'll
yes,
prepare myself.
all right, everyone, thank you again. I am Janice Dead,
And I'm Joyous Dead.
and we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.